Welcome back to the Daily Rundown. I'm Dan Morfitt. Thanks for watching Channel 7. Now, if you want to get in touch with the show, we are at the Daily Rundown on Twitter, or you can email dailyrundown@thattv.com. And you could have your something to say, just like Jacqui has now. Jacqui Wright, it's your chance to get something off your chest. What's your something to say tonight?
Well, I just want to get back to Orlando, really. Not get back to Orlando, but the atrocities of Orlando on Sunday, and how now things have settled down a little bit. People don't seem to have jumped on this the same as they did about Paris and other places that got bombed. They just don't seem to, I'm not saying not care, but they don't seem to want, or even associated with it. I'm not sure. It's like on Facebook, you can change your profile picture. And a lot of people did it for Paris and everything else, but this time...
They put like a tricolor flag behind the profile
It's
picture.
not happened. The gays are all over it, but the straight people are like... I don't think they mean anything by it, but it just seems to be... And
is that a good or a bad thing though? Because, you know, a lot of people put the French flag on, but they didn't necessarily put the flag of Afghanistan on or Iraq when
I didn't.
Other atrocities happened there. With this, I've actually seen, there is one that's going around on Twitter and Facebook, and I've seen lots of friends do it where it's a frame and it just says, we are with Orlando.
Yeah, well, I've done that.
With a rainbow
few people
flag.
have done that, yeah.
And that's really good to see. But I think you're right, it's not been as prevalent, it's not been as widespread. But is that a good thing? Because surely, how is that helping?
It's not.
Is it a bandwagon to jump on?
It is a bandwagon, but what I'm saying is, for some reason, people are a bit reluctant this time. And you're right, and it's the same with the hashtag. I don't agree with the hashtag. And when we had those missing girls with Boko Haram, and you had Michelle Obama there with a piece of paper saying, hashtag bring back our girls. Well, that did a lot. They're still missing.
Yeah, they're still missing.
So I understand that, and it can be seen as empty gestures, but at the same time, you've put yourself forward as to say, I actually support this or whatever. And just seeing how, I think apparently on Monday, there's two papers who didn't even put it on the front page news.
But it's the biggest shooting in American history, the biggest mass shooting.
I think it's because it's gays that people aren't...
Do you think it's because it's the LGBT community that was specifically affected?
Yeah.
So if this was just a nightclub, people would be horrified.
Yes. They are horrified.
But because you think it's LGBT, then some certain newspapers, and we know which ones they are,
didn't put it on the front
page.
Which is, come on, it's obvious what's happening here. But what I also find funny, because of the Facebook thing, when that gorilla got shot, everybody was outraged. And I think if they could have changed their profile picture to support that gorilla, they would have done. If there'd been one available, they would have done. A gorilla has had more empathy from people.
But 49 people from the lesbian, gay, bisexual and trans community shot
that's what I think.
In cold blood in Orlando.
Yeah.
By what now? And the story is progressing day by day. When it first happened on Saturday night, Sunday morning in America, people were saying, oh, it's a terrorist attack. This man was an agent of ISIL. This man was Al-Qaeda. It's now come out slowly but surely that he wasn't a religious extremist. He wasn't a terrorist, as we're starting to almost stereotype
he wasn't.
people. He was a man that had gone to the Pulse nightclub in Orlando on 4 or 5 occasions. He had talked with his ex-wife about possibly doing an attack. There are talks now that he is slightly confused about his sexuality, that he had bisexual leanings, and
I don't think he was confused. I think his religion says he cannot be gay. I don't
but he had feelings that may have gone against what he believed.
Yeah. And if you see his dad, you'll know why. Yeah,
his dad first came out and said he saw 2 men kissing in a mall. He was appalled by it, which thankfully in this country I don't think anybody is appalled by it, and if they are part of a minority now.
But you don't see that. Gay men don't flaunt it. They're not walking down the street. They're scared to hold hands, for God's sake, because of public reaction. They're not gonna be all over each other walking down Market Street.
But at the same time, we're British, so public displays of affection are hardly rife.
But gay men are still a bit reluctant because of public reaction, because not everybody is and not everybody is on board with it, and especially older people, because I date. So the men my age, and they are definitely not on board with it, and that is the problem.
So it's a generational thing, do you think?
It's a generational thing. You've got to understand, I live with a gay man, and I have a gay son. So that is my deal breaker.
You're basically Eileen from Corrie.
Basically, yeah, Eileen from Corrie.
But with better hair, my love.
Hopefully.
She's had a new bob. It doesn't suit her.
She's had her teeth done and all. But tell that now. But you just think, so when I'm chatting with somebody, I have to find out pretty quick. So I'll say, they'll say, "Oh, do you live with somebody?" Meaning, do you live with your kids? And I go, "No, I live with a lovely gay man." And 8 times out of 10, 7, 8 times out of 10, I'll either not hear from him again, or what you living with the puff for? And it's the wording they use as well. It's all the derogatory words like puff, queer, faggots.
Which is the worst. Apologies if you're offended by that, but in the context of how you're saying it is the worst word to use.
And so you just think, and then they've got, I don't think I'm real comfortable with that. But before they've said that, it's like, oh yeah, I'm all right with gays. Do you actually know any? No. You might meet my gay housemate. There's not a cat and else chance you're going to meet my gay housemate. But
and then your gay son.
Well, this is before I get to my gay son, so it's like, oh no. So this, I think because of this, what's happened in this nightclub I'm not saying it's not had the coverage, it has had the coverage. People's reaction aren't as strong.
I remember, well, you probably saw the thing the other day on Sky News where Owen Jones walked off the set of a newspaper review when we were looking at this story. And a few people say, well, he just flounced off, he was doing it for publicity. I watched the whole bit and it was absolutely disgusting. A journalist from Sky News was not acknowledging that this was a hate crime, that this was a definite attack, and they believed it to be a terror attack then.
Yeah, they did.
Whether it's a terror attack or not, they were going, it's terrible, 49 people have been killed.
But it's not a homophobic attack.
It's a homophobic hate crime. If it was, he could have gone to a nightclub and people would have been horrified. Yeah. But he didn't. He went to a specific LGBT nightclub. He went on a night where members of the community, especially the Latino community down in Orlando, because I believe it was like a salsa night at the Pulse nightclub, he killed in cold blood in the worst mass killing with a gun of all time. A group of LGBT people. Yeah. That's what it is. It's not a terrorist attack. It is terrifying, and it should be terrifying to the rest of the public, but it's a terror attack against a community that has been derided and is only now getting some semblance of equal rights. Yeah, and exactly. To not call it out as that is almost, in my mind, as horrific as the crime in the first place, because you're denying the grief of friends, of family, and it's irresponsible to brush under the carpet the hate crime nature of this. Looking at it, it wasn't a terror attack, but as lots of terrorists, I believe, are, there's mental health issues at play here. Yeah, but even mental health issues, you still know the basic right from wrong. But sometimes you don't. But to be able to, and to have the ability to go in with a gun, which we believe is now being bought by his ex-wife, to walk into a place. Oh, she bought it? Possibly. She was, she had so knowledge. She didn't pull the trigger. But she had knowledge of the attack. And I think the American services are looking into that now. It's a terrible, terrible crime, and it should be seen as such. It reminded me of the often forgotten Admiral Duncan bombing many, many years ago now, where a pub in Soho was taken out with a nail bomb. I remember that. I do remember that. And it's one of those things that you don't want that to be forgotten. And I do remember that. I've been around that place in Soho, and there's hardly any recognition or reference to it. And something like the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, that should never be forgotten. It's almost like a new Stonewall for the LGBT community, because it's a watershed. It is a watershed. Something needs to kick on from this, rather than it just be taken as another terror attack. As bad as terror attacks are, and as the awful things that we saw in Brussels at the airport, as we saw in Paris, even the white supremacist Anders Breivik that we saw in Scandinavia, that was a terror attack. This was a hate crime.
Yeah, they're not related. I don't think it's related. He might have claimed it was ISIS or whatever, but I don't believe for 1 minute they were involved in that.
No.
He was working on his own. But I just feel personally, and I am probably, I'm not saying overreacting, I feel more relevance to this one because of who I live with and who my son is. But I just feel as though people aren't as on board with this one as they have been with the others. I don't mean about Facebook, I mean in general. For newspapers not to even put it on the front page of the news.
Is it people that aren't with it, or is it mainstream media as
mainstream media, but that's people, and it's like, so why is it not front page news when
this should still be the top news story?
It's irrelevant of who it was. It should still be a top news story because it was the mass shooting of all time, but because of who it was, it wasn't put on the news on the front page. I don't think for 1 minute. That's why. And
we've not even talked into the complexities of gun control and gun ownership and all of that, because this is a very personal subject to you.
Yeah.
And I think it should be, by rights, a personal subject for everybody. Because what happened was a group from one particular community were murdered, massacred.
Yeah. It's a mother's worst nightmare when they have a gay son, you know. It's obviously, I don't think he's going to get bombed or shot or anything like that, but when they get to be teenagers and you know they're going to different nightclubs, you're worried then which idiots are going to be walking about, gangs.
They're already different.
They're marked out as different. Yeah. So you're waiting for the police to phone, you're waiting to get that phone call for the hospital. So you worry all the time about your kids, you worry they're going to get abducted by aliens, they're going to fall off a cliff. You do.
Yeah.
But that then is it's an added worry. So you just worry about things like that all the time.
Well, of course, our thoughts to the friends and family of all the people
who
were killed and wounded in the Pulse nightclub atrocity in Orlando. We're going to go to another break now, but please don't go away. I'll be back with Jacqui in just a minute with some of the more, let's say, strange stories of the day here on the Daily Rundown.